What is happening, fishing friends? Welcome to another video. Hope you're having an amazing night. I know I am, but I don't want to scare you. We're going to a dark place in today's video. Yeah, we're talking about limited tackle. A gentleman by the name of Drag On Fish On commented on one of my pictures. He's a nice guy. We comment back and forth on stuff, but he posed the question on one of my posts and asked if you could only have 3 lures tied on for the rest of your life, what would they be and why? Well, immediately when I read that question, I went right back to the old Sandlot movie and thought, forever? Forever. I thought, you know what? That's a pretty fun question. I got to do a video. So shout out to you, Drag On Fish On. Cool question. But what would those lures be? But before we get started and talk about this first lure, I want you to pause the video, comment below, and let me know what your 3 lures would be. So starting with Topwater, I'm picking the Treble Sprinkler Frog. Now, I know you're thinking, what, the Sprinkler Frog? Listen, hear me out. Remember, these baits have to be versatile, right? 3 lures, tied on forever the rest of my life. These things have to work multiple ways. Without question, my #1 favorite bait would be the old hollow body frog. This is a Booyah pad crasher. This thing has seen better days, but I tell you what, it has caught a ton of fish. Give me some grass, muck, lily pads. Oh yeah, fishing a frog, I'm in heaven. Favorite way for me to catch a fish. The only problem with the old frog, it can be kind of slow to work water. You know, you can't cover a bunch of it. So enter the old WHOPPER plopper. Yeah, you know what? I waited such a long time to buy one of these. Thought they were kind of a gimmick. Didn't really think much about it, but I kept seeing them. I'm like, you know what? To heck with it. I'm picking up one. And besides the Topwater hollow body frog, this has caught more fish for me on Topwater than anything else. This exact color too, this exact rig right here. You can cover tons of water with it, but once you start getting around vegetation, it's kind of done. So put those 2 baits together and you get the Treble Sprinkler Frog. So #1, my favorite thing about it is it's a cast and retrieve frog. If you're new to frogs, try one of these. You can still get that same bite, but you're casting it and retrieving it just like a WHOPPER plopper. It's got that little paddle tail back there that spins and plops behind it. Something like this that I can cover water and find those fish is key. Sooner I can find fish, find those active fish, the better. But I'm not stopping there with it. If this is the only bait I can have tied on forever, I can fish this stuff over the muck as well. Great day, me and Randizzle were out doing Topwater. He told me where to cast. I threw this exact frog on top of that spot, was working it like a normal frog, pop, 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 pop. Now, of course, if you get anything stuck in there, it's not going to twist and twirl, but if you're working it over the thick, cheesy stuff, you don't care. You just want it to disturb the moss, algae, cheese, whatever it is. You want to disturb it so that fish can see what's up there. And this bait will do just that. That tail's back there dragging, it's making a commotion. You can work it like a regular frog too. Now, if all else fails and they're not hitting the frog, well, I've had days where they don't hit the frog. You cut the legs completely off of a frog like this, work this look like a little shad or minnow dying on top of the water. I've had killer success with this. It was not my idea. Jacob Wheeler showed this little trick on MLF. Frog just like this, he cut it off and was mimicking little dying shad, destroyed it. The trick has worked for me. I highly guarantee that it will work for you if you're trying to mimic little bait fish. So with the old Sprinkler Frog, I can unscrew this little tail off and I've got the exact same thing. I can walk this like a walking bait. I can plop the nose of it like a little popper. I can still work it other ways as well. So 3 ways I could work this. That's why my Topwater would be the old Treble Sprinkler. Moving down the water column, I have to have something that's versatile. My #2 bait would be an Arky style jig. Let's take a look. Now, I don't know how strict the rules are in this game, but with a jig like this, I can change this skirt and this trailer to cover a whole bunch of different scenarios with one jig. And that's some MacGyver stuff right there. So why a jig like this? Well, if you take something like this for a moving bait, and if you chose a spinner bait, it does great around wood, but if you get this around a bunch of grass and stuff, yeah, not the best. Well, if you say grass is the issue, tie on one of these babies. A chatterbait is killer around grass. Comes through grass really well, but you get this around wood and you're back in the same problem. So those 2 don't really fit the bill. Same thing if you had a crankbait and those get kind of stuck in grass and wood, and well, you take one of these. Remember, if I've only got 3 baits tied on, they have to be versatile. An Arky style jig to me is the most versatile jig out there. #1, I can work this thing just like a swim jig. Notice the line tie there? Look at that. Those 2 line up perfectly. This Arky style head is essentially just a swim jig. I've experimented with a whole bunch of different trailers on this. Something with a bunch of flappy action like a craw or a swim bait tail, something like this. Even the big old Beast Coast Miyagi. You can tie these sort of things on a jig and give it a whole lot more vibration than if you had just like a little thing like a fluke or something like that. You can give this bait enough good vibration to kind of mimic a chatterbait. You can't really mimic the flash of a spinner bait, but at least you can change the colors on it. I could go to an all white, something similar to this, and match a shad profile. So it's very versatile in that option. Or if I wanted to kind of downsize a little bit, I could go with a little Kitech, a swing impact. These little 4-inch things are very subtle. They just have kind of a flippy back tail motion. Or even something like one of my all-time favorite swim jig trailers, a little Rage Menace. They have just the 2 little tails kicked back there, and I always rig them upright like this. So those tails are sitting up like this, looking like a fish's fin when it swims through. Now, I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but that's the way I do it. So the versatility of trailers and being able to change the whole type and look of your swim jig, that's why I would go with this head style. The second reason is because I can flip with this. This is actually a Nichols flipping jig. It's got a good stout hook on it. That head comes through really well. You notice when you come up over something like this, glides right up it. You're not getting stuck, you know, with like a straight line tie, they tend to roll, and then that's when the hook can get stuck and stuff. So this tends to kind of carry them and bounce off things. Perfect for flipping wood with that little 45-degree line tie. Speaking of that 45-degree line tie, that line tie being up here along with this weed guard make it very weedless. So if I am coming through a bunch of vegetation, it's great. Again, that spinnerbait, something like that, you know, those kind of get caught up in that. This would still be versatile enough to come through all through that. The fourth thing is I can drag this. I can flip this on hard bottoms, bounce the bottom with it, just like I would, you know, a round or a football head jig. Now, it doesn't do the best when it comes to rocks because it kind of wedges in there like so. That's why a round head or a football head is better around a lot of rocks. But if I just have a hard bottom that I want to throw this on and hop it, this will still work very well too. So the old Arky style jig head would be my second because of the versatility, the different trailers. You can fish it through about anything pretty darn well. That's why it's number 2. Now with lure number 3, I think we have to take a better look at some of these soft plastics. Yes, the third bait without question would be, well, a Texas rig. Yep, final answer. A 4/0 heavy wire EWG hook. I'd probably have a 3/8 ounce sinker on there. It would really look something just like this. This is exactly what it would be, a little 4/0 EWG hook like that. A tungsten weight, I would go with, I think a 3/8 ounce is probably my most universal. So I'm saying a 3/8 ounce with a bobber stop in front of it. Think about the versatility you've got. You can go with one of those little creature baits, little flappy tails like that, or if they're eating crawfish, I usually go with the Strike King Rage Craw. These have caught a ton of fish for me. They have a very cool kicking, fluttering action. Killer in the summer, spring, fall. Really, I mean, these things do work anytime. Or if you're flipping a bunch of heavy standing timber, it's hard to beat a big old worm. So with that hook tied on, that's the key. I can use a wide array of plastics. The second thing is I can swim that Texas rig too. I caught a bunch of fish on these. Rand Dizzle hooked me up with these, gave these to me. This happens to be the Strike King Smoke and Rooster. It's got 2 little appendages here that swim and a back tail that swims. Cast this out on that exact rig and just roll it back. Hook keeps it belly down and you can swim that back just like a soft plastic grub or jig or whatever. Reel it back in. So I can cast and retrieve the Texas rig too. Third is I can flip and pitch into anything. I like one of these. These are the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beavers. Rig that baby weedless and you can flip and pitch into the nastiest, gnarliest, dirtiest timber with a weedless Texas rig like that. Now the final part about the Texas rig that's awesome is this. You can see, well, what happened. I got a rig clear up here. If you rig your Texas rig like this, and this is the way you set it up to start, so you're not retying on, you can run this as I call it a poor man's Carolina rig. All it is a few bobber stops underneath your weight to stop it from sliding down toward your hook. One on top, and then a little bead in front of your weight. Tungsten weight there. That clacks just like a Carolina rig. This all stays tight. That's not moving with 3 bobber stops there. It's extremely hard to move that weight. And my creature bait's back here just kind of floating. Just like the Carolina rig or Mojo rig is kind of the finesse version of it. But I could even turn my Texas rig into a Carolina rig if I wanted. So again, I've got a multitude of different options. The Texas rig is a versatile bait. You can swim it. You can flip it and pitch it in the gnarliest, dirtiest, yuckiest things. And there's a whole bunch of different soft plastics I could put on the back of it. That's why my final bait, without doubt, would be the Texas rig. So there you have it, fishy friends. Those are the 3 baits. If I could only have 3 baits tied on forever, hypothetically speaking, it would be the Teckle Sprinker, an Arky style jig, and the good old Texas rig. So do me a favor and leave a comment below and let me know what your 3 lures would be. I want to see what you all have to say. I think there will be some interesting discussions below. See if we picked any of the same things or see if yours are completely different. Remember, there's not a right way to fish. There's your way to fish. So that's going to do it for tonight. I thank you all very much for watching, and until next time.
1, 2, 3.